Welcome back. It's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. Alright, so today will be a special video as we jump into the time machine and travel back a whole 20 years to the year 2005 from Mattel in their Batman Begins action figure line. We have the 14-inch Action Cape Batman. Alright, so I got this recently at one of my local collectible toy stores, and I only paid $8 for this. It's ridiculous. This thing is almost pristine. It's just missing the accessories, which I can live with. It's a gigantic figure. As you can see, it does not fit underneath my camera. This is a whopping 14 inches tall. It's a beast, and it's also advertised as being hyper posable. Alright, so back in 2005, we were blessed with Christopher Nolan's vision of Batman, which starred Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne in the movie Batman Begins. And for me, it's mind-blowing that movie came out 20 years ago, and it makes me feel really, really old right now. Beautiful looking action figure, and this thing is awesome. I couldn't believe that I found this for $8. It was just standing on top of the shelves at one of my local collectible toy stores. It caught my eye. I picked it up, and I'm like, why is this only $8? It's like pristine. You know, normally when you buy these larger toys, they're always like beat up and they have scuff marks everywhere, but this thing was like almost near perfect. Like I said, it's just missing the accessories. He didn't have any scuff marks. He had all his paint on him still. There was no chips. The joints are still very nice and tight, and it's almost like this figure is brand new. So the accessories that he's missing is that he came with a Batarang, and then this figure was also called Action Cape Batman. So on the back, there's this kind of like slot here, and he came with this weird accessory that plugs into his back, and then it would attach to the cape. And then what you would do is you'd press this button, and then it would allow the cape to like fold outwards or extend outwards, like in the films. So the minute you press the button, the cape would go out like this. But, you know, it's a gimmick that, you know, I don't really need. You know, I just want the figure itself. And as a display piece, this thing is really eye-catching. You know, the minute you walk into a room and you see this, it makes quite the statement. It's beautiful, it's large, and it looks awesome. The likeness to actor Christian Bale, even though he's wearing the mask, you know, it looks pretty decent. You know, kind of has his jawline and lips. And it's such a beautiful, well-crafted figure. And for a figure that was produced back in 2005, I think this thing still holds up incredibly well, engineering-wise and design-wise. Just look at it. It's awesome. Again, my copy, it's very pristine. You know, it doesn't look like it was a child's toy. Clearly, this looked like it belonged to a collector who probably, you know, displayed this proudly on their shelf. Very fond of the original Dark Knight costume from the first film. You know, it was a little bit more streamlined than the costumes we got later on in the Dark Knight trilogy. But yeah, this is an awesome figure. Again, very large at 14 inches tall. It's much larger than the modern figures we get nowadays. Let me grab one real quick. For example, here we have, I believe this is either a Spin Master or a Mattel 12-inch. I want to say this is a Spin Master, a 12-inch Batman figure. I believe this is the Rebirth era costume. And you can see the height difference. You know, this larger 14-inch figure just towers over this one, which is already a large figure to begin with. But this figure really takes the cake. In terms of articulation, you know, this figure is advertised as being hyperposable. His head looks left and right. As you can see, it can even, like, it's on a ball joint, so it can even like tilt. It can look up a little. The arms go up. Again, this thing doesn't feel like it was played with. The joints are so stiff and tight, I don't want to accidentally break it. The arms go up, and they also do go outward. There's a bicep cut, allowing for swivel, elbows bend. The fins are made of a soft, rubbery material, so you don't have to worry about them snapping off. The wrists are articulated, they swivel. The waist swivels above the utility belt, and it kind of also allows for a very mild bending forward and arching back position. But again, I don't think that's necessarily intended, but it is there. The hips, it's kind of that much more antiquated, like T-joint, which allows the legs to kick outward. Again, very stiff. I don't want to accidentally break this figure, but it is there. The legs kick up. You'll notice there is a thigh cut for swivel movement. The knees bend. Again, all these joints are just so tight. The ankles swivel, and then they also bend at this joint, and then you have articulated ankles, and then the foot's articulated, which swivels and also rocks, so you can level out the feet. Yeah, so for $8, for me, this was a no-brainer. It was a steal, and it's such a wonderful display piece. For me, I do plan on displaying this, and I got one of those doll stands. Let me grab that. Just give me a moment. So even though this figure could stand on its own, for fear of accidentally knocking it over, I did buy one of these larger doll stands, that you attach it around the waist of the character, and you can adjust the height. With this larger footprint, this figure isn't going to necessarily fall over. But yeah, this is awesome. If you're curious about hunting this down on the secondary market, you could find this still mint in box, but just make sure you pay a reasonable price for it. If I found this new mint in box, I'd be willing to pay at the most maybe $30 to $40. I feel like the figure is really worth it. But if you can find it for a cheaper price, loose and in great condition, pull the trigger. You won't regret it. It's larger than a 1/6 scale figure, like a Hot Toys or Sideshow collectible, but it just looks fantastic. From a distance, again, this is an eye-catching piece, and the detailing is awesome. It's very authentic and true to what we see in the movies, and it's just wonderful. And I do have another Mattel Batman figure. This is from the Movie Masters line. This is the updated costume that we see in the later films, also produced by Mattel. And I was such, and still am, a big fan of the Dark Knight trilogy. I love those films to death. I think they're awesome. And there was such an amazing selection of toys, during this time period. And it pains me that this film came out 20 years ago. I'm really starting to feel my age when I say that. All right, so let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.